Hello everyone, welcome back to the bench. Today we have a Kenwood TM-461 UHF radio, and it's in really nice shape, a little bit dusty, but it has a bit of an issue. As you can see, everything's fine, and if I turn the knob to another frequency, it starts transmitting with no mic plugged in, on the air. It's a good thing I have a dummy load hooked up right now. It just kind of freezes up like that until you restart it. It's fine again. So even in, it doesn't matter what mode you're in, VFO or memory mode, it starts transmitting again. So what we're going to do is open it up, and I suspect that this head unit needs new capacitors. That'll most likely help with our issue. Also, I'm not a fan of these incandescent lamps, so maybe we'll give it a little LED upgrade. I mean, it's an older UHF radio. It's really not worth a lot. I'm going to sell it after, and probably won't get much for it, so it's probably not really worth the time to do the LED upgrade, but yeah, I just like to do it. I'm curious to see what it'll look like after, so let's give it a shot. All right, let's get this thing apart and dig in. So my next step here is going to be removing all of the existing LEDs and all of the existing capacitors, and I'm just replacing the existing electrolytic capacitors with their stock values. I'll be using a slightly the next step up voltage for each capacitor, because I find that's a good practice. They'll last many years longer, and we'll just do a little time lapse of this. I'm also checking the ESR on the capacitors that I'm removing and the new ones that I'm putting in. It's just interesting to see the results that we get and was it worth my time doing it or not? It's nice to actually see a horrible result on one of them and know that, hey, there's the one that was bad. But I highly recommend these peak testers. They are very accurate. They're a bit pricey, but just great quality, and it's a great company to deal with too. Now let's get out the LEDs to do a replacement while we're in here. I'm going to go with some pinky purpley colored ones because I've got a lot of them and I never use them. I'm curious to see what it would look like. Again, this, isn't the most sought after radio, so I think it would be interesting, kind of unique to give it something a little bit different. So what I do normally is I buy these clear LEDs, and they're very directional. They'll just kind of shine straight forward, and they're really bright. So what I do is I take some sandpaper, and I just rough all of the edges up, and you get it so it's nice and frosty looking, and that will diffuse the light. And the reason I do this is you can buy LEDs like this, but it's just so easy to do this. It stops you from buying two separate types of LEDs and having two separate compartments to store them in and keep them in stock. It just takes a couple seconds to do this. And you only have to buy the one, and you got your two options. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm also going to reuse these little black standoffs that you see, because I'm trying to space the LED out and off the board to keep the original height, and that way it'll hit the diffuser that's built in under the LCD, and it'll distribute the light exactly how it did before. A nice, even distribution. Using the diffuser, which is kind of light pipe technology, which is really neat. I find that interesting. So So the next step here is putting in a resistor in line with our new LEDs. And luckily, because this thing had LEDs to begin with, it has a resistor in place. So we're going to take this one out and replace it with the proper value. Now this is a surface mount resistor, and I want to use a 1/2 watt resistor. I don't have any surface mounts in that value, so I'm going to put in a through hole using these other large traces here, pads that are next to the small ones. They're actually connected as if it was meant to have a much larger wattage resistor. So we'll kind of Marmaduke one in there, and don't really pay attention to the value that you see here because it's not the one that I end up going with. I'll explain that later on in the video. So let's put it back together now and see what it looks like, and if our replaced capacitors made any difference to our outlying problem. Now let's plug it in and take a look. It's not quite as bright as I want it to be. It's pretty washed out. It's kinda barely there. There's definitely some tweaks that I need to do with that resistor. So we're gonna change that out. And as you can see here, the more I play with it, we're still having that stuck in transmit problem when I start turning knobs and pressing buttons.
Well, it's been a while. I've managed to solve the issue and made the LEDs brighter and a few things. This radio actually sat for a very long time. It's been a couple of years. As you can notice, the desk looks a lot different than it did earlier. So I ended up pulling this out and replacing all of the electrolytic caps except for these two big ones because they're still good. And the problem we were having was it would go into transmit mode on its own, but it only seemed to do it when I either adjusted the rotary encoder here for the channel or frequency, or if I adjusted the squelch to the point of the squelch break. Anything else, it didn't matter. And I thought that it was something with one of the common lines with the push-to-talk circuit, and I went through that, and everything checked out with it. There's a chip right down here. It's a shift register that's with a serial connection that goes to the main microcontroller that's on the front. And that shift register was doing exactly what it should. It was getting a transmit signal from the computer, and it was telling everything to go into transmit. So then I figured again, it must be something on the front that's giving a weird signal to the CPU to transmit. Because a lot of these switches and things, they're all just inputs into the CPU that share a common line. Again, much like a telephone, old telephones, the number pad, it's a matrix of different combinations of inputs and resistances to figure out what number is being pressed using a minimal amount of inputs. And it turned out that wasn't the case, and I left it for a little bit, powered on, and then I turned it off and back on, started playing with it, and everything was fine. And then I realized the VCO in here had warmed up and was pretty warm, just like it should be after it's warmed up. Everything was running fine when it was warm, so that led me to think that maybe it's a crystal problem, or it could be a cold solder joint. So before I went into tearing out crystals to test them, I thought it'd be easier if I just went along. I went through everything in the VCO, resoldered all of those connections. I resoldered all the crystal lines, and then I think where the problem was these ones here, which are for these front connectors that connect the front board to the main board. And I reflowed or resoldered all of those with new lead solder. What else? Just kind of anything I could see. Nothing really looked bad or cracked, but that's the problem, is you can never really tell. And I'm willing to bet it was one of these front panel connector ones, because I redid all that, and then I stuck it in front of a fan to let it cool down, and then I actually went out and did a bunch of things, and it sat for probably 6 hours, and it's cold, very, very cold. And I just turned it on, and everything's still working fine. It's not trying to key up anymore, and it's still totally cold. It's not warmed up at all right now. So I'm gonna leave it overnight again, and use it for a couple days, and I think that's it. I think it was just that simple. It's just the sake of these joints, which is totally acceptable. It's a solid connection. It's not a ribbon. There's a reason they don't do this anymore. It's a horrible design. Oh, I'm losing my light. Another thing I did off camera is I did a proper recalculation of the resistors for these LEDs, because I put the pink LEDs in here because I figured, why not? I've got some pink LEDs and I want to start using them, getting rid of them. But so I did a proper calculation, and I had a 330 ohm in there, but each resistor or LED has a resistor in series as well, a 10 ohm. And so I was actually doing like 340 ohm. And to get the proper voltage and current on these, I only need about 220. So all I had here was a 220, so now I'm getting 230 between them. So it's not maxing the lamps out. It's just a little bit under, and it's much brighter than it was. So I'm gonna put this back together, and I'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll do a final test tomorrow, just to make sure it's still working when it's cool. And there it is. Would you look at that? Beautiful pink screen. Just lovely. Everything ham operator wants in his shack. Alright, well, I'm going to call this one repaired. It's holding up pretty well. Hasn't had any issues, so we're gonna leave it at that, and this thing will get put back into service again after sitting for a couple years. We're finally going through a lot of old projects here, so be prepared for a lot more videos. Let me know what you think in the comments. Like and subscribe if you can, it really helps. And most of all, thanks for watching.